I'm Doug Buell. I am a 2001 graduate of SUNY Maritime College. I sailed from 2001 to 2005 commercially. During the academy, I took 3 training cruises as a cadet on board overseas to Europe each summer, as well as the East Coast and the Caribbean. And then was on the tanker trade for the East Coast run from Maine all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. I sailed on the Great Lakes for Interlake Steamship Company on iron ore carriers, which did the same lake carriers routes that the Edmund Fitzgerald would be taking in 1975, and also a high-speed ferry on Lake Ontario, which ran from Rochester, New York to Toronto. After that, I went shoreside and actually worked for the company that purchased the Ogilvy Norton Columbia fleet when Ogilvy Norton went under. I once hired the steward that had worked on board Fitzgerald before, but he missed the vessel. Robert Bishop was his name. And the steward that was shoreside was ill, and so the one that was actually on board, Bob Rafferty, he actually perished on board. A lot of the crew members that I crewed knew the guys on board or had sailed on there at some point. So that was kind of an eerie feeling knowing that. I've been in storms on Lake Superior, similar to what the Fitz would have gone through. I've been in a typhoon on my first commercial run, which was actually a scrap run. So I've heard of many theories on the Fitzgerald, and one that kind of strikes me as a possibility is where it bottomed out and ruptured the bottom of the hull. You can, with the swells that night, the vessel bouncing up and down, it could have bottomed out because they didn't have really good charting in that area. So it could have run aground while sailing through there, and they may not have even realized it. And I was reading the transcript of the El Faro last night, and it can happen quick where the vessel can go down. The transcript in there, the captain's talking to a mate, and all of a sudden he's yelling, bow down, and 3 words later, that was the end of the transcript. So the Fitzgerald went down that quick as well. One moment there's a blip on the radar, and the next moment it's gone. So going bow down like that, it could have happened, and it would happen quickly. So there's no time to react. The Fitz would have had the same lifeboats that the El Faro had, which are uncovered, and it doesn't lead to a lot of protection even if they did have time. If you have 35-foot seas, whatever they were that night, that boat can easily get flipped over. So it doesn't lead to a lot of protection. Nowadays they have covered lifeboats, like you see on the Maersk Alabama movie, the covered ones. That's the normal practice now. So, in my position when I was in the traffic department, we ordered the vessels around what to load, where to load, where they were going, everything. I made it a point that I relied on the captain. I said, okay, can you make it in? Can you not make it in? If you can't, I'm not forcing your hand. It's your license, it's your safety, your crew's safety, the vessel's safety. I'm not making you go in. If you're not comfortable, go anchor, go, sit out there for a while, slow bell it. I had 2 captains in mind that they were mainly 1,000-foot captains, and excellent captains. If you looked when there was a gale, they were the last ones to anchor. They would beach comb it. They'd stick along the beach and just slow bell it the whole time. They hated anchoring, but And the one prided himself on it. He's always, I'm still going, I'm still going. Everybody else is anchored. It was very rare he anchored. You knew it was bad, he anchored. And he called me on Thanksgiving night one night when I was on call duty, and he said, yeah, I'm still going. It's about 30-foot waves tonight. And, you know, I just can't imagine going through that and still wanting to keep going. But, yeah, it's different also from deep sea and Great Lakes, where the wave periods are different. From crest of wave to crest of wave, they're shorter on the lakes. And the lakes vessels are built differently for that. You could see the last, like one of the Canadian Lakers that was towed a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago. It was being towed overseas to scrap. It sunk. It was weak and went through a storm and sunk right on the way over. The lakes are like big bathtubs. So if you drop something on one end and you watch the ripples, drop something over here, drop something over here, and see how the ripples react, and then you start stirring it, you're getting it from many different directions. Also, you can see an effect here, like we had it yesterday when I was on board the vessel I work on now, the Seiche, which it acts like a bathtub. You get predominant wind blowing one direction for a long period of time. It blows the water down to Cleveland, or blows it this way. So in the case yesterday, it was blowing it towards Cleveland, so the water dropped. So you have less water underneath you. Or if it's blowing this way, which predominantly blows southwest up to us, the water's higher. So that's another effect to take into account. Another thing to take into account, that happens with spray on the vessels as well, and that starts weighing you down. I don't know how cold it was that night. I don't remember much talk about ice, but the ice builds up and the crews have to chip it off. But if you watch like Deadliest Catch, they're constantly chipping it off of there, and you start getting heavier. You get ice on one side, you're getting top heavy or listing, and so if you're heavy into it, bow into it constantly, your whole bow is going to be encased of ice, and that's going to make you heavier and sit you down in the water. So, if you start blowing out windows and water's rushing into the vessel in the bow, it's going to go down quick. So it's always a safety concern.